When I was playing golf, there was a particular moment when I realised that there was things that I was doing that weren't helping me, and there were things that I could kind of do that weren't textbook that were helping me. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about a big significant development in my game and how it helped me and how it's going to help you as well. Let's get stuck into it. This video has been inspired by two people. One is one of my online students who asked a question about pre-shot routine. The one is Steve. Steve is a student of mine who we have some lessons here at Four Ashes, but we also go and play a few holes out West Midlands, so I can keep an eye on him, I document it, and I can share it with you as well. Now, when I first played with Steve, which was about 6 weeks ago, one of the things that I noticed was that he was just so slow. Okay, now not slow in his walking, but just slow when he was over the golf ball. He would just take too much time, faffing around too much with the distances in terms of exactly how far it was, then taking 2 or 3 practice swings. And I said to him, the process is just like, you need to be brisker, think about other side on sports. Now, for myself, I came from like a background of being competent playing football, competent at playing tennis. You know, I was always good at school with things like javelin. I was good with things like disc, all these sort of, you know, shot put, disc, all those sort of things I was always really good at. And when I kind of got into golf, I sort of felt quite regimented, and it's particularly when having golf lessons, you know, I was sort of told, you've got to stand like this, you've got to have the ball here, got to have your hips aligned like this. And I often look down at it going, I just feel really stuck, I don't want to do that, I want to stand very different, I want to stand more open. And with students that I work with, particularly online, I'm trying to encourage them to do the same things. So a pre-shot routine that really helped me will help you guys. It's helping Steve. I'm going to talk you through exactly what I'm doing step by step. First thing is that I would stand directly behind the golf ball, like so. And then I draw a line with the club. Okay, so can you see where the club shaft goes over the golf ball and then to my target? So we're going to choose that target there. Okay, that alignment. Now, as I line the shaft over there, I can then, with inside my peripheral vision, which would be roughly in this area, I can choose something here that I'm going to line my club face up to. So when I set over the golf ball, initially trying to look at that club face and then look at the target, I find that's too big a gap. I would have stood behind the ball, hold the club shaft over it, draw a line, choose something that would be within inside my peripheral vision, so I can see, obviously you guys can't, but I can see a little bit of grass area here that's a different colour, it's noticeable, it's not going to change, and then at least I have a much better chance of aligning the club face up towards that sort of direction. Now, the other point that I would note, and this might not be applicable for everybody, but some of you might find this a small revelation as well, is that again, every time I position the club head directly behind the golf ball and try to line up and then set up, although I tried that, because I remember watching Nick Faldo become very meticulous with his pre-shot routine and very meticulous with things like that. Again, I just felt really stuck. I always felt worked best for me was to position the club head twofold. One, slightly in front of the ball, as I'm demonstrating here, okay, and then I would line my club face up. Now, the reason why I suppose I found that easier is because I like to have the golf ball positioned slightly further forward, a club head's distance inside of my lead ankle to be exact. And if I place the club, as you can see here, so the back of the club is in line with the ball, that I can now see will aim pretty much in the direction where I'm aiming. And then can you see the way I get the leading edge in line with my lead ankle, and then I take a width of stance about shoulder width apart, and by the time I position the club head behind the ball, I know that it's going to be inside of my lead ankle like so. Now, just in terms of putting the club behind the ball and then trying to precisely look where my ball position is, and then look at, I feel stuck, as opposed to kind of going, right, I'm going to aim here, I'm going to let my lead foot flare out, I'm going to be looking much more towards the target the whole time. This encourages me to be more open, this encourages me to have my weight on the lead side. I can position the club head behind the ball, and then I am ready to go. So what about prior to that point? And that's something that I'm going to do on the golf course, and you guys can let me know if that's something you would like to see more in that comments box below in terms of the general whole process. But once I've gauged the condition that the ball is sitting in terms of the ground, what the wind is doing, maybe generally where I don't want to be sort of playing into when I'm hitting a shot, I would have a couple of practice swings in and around that point in time. Okay, so for me, I would just kind of swing. You guys might want to try and encourage yourself to be introducing one of your swing thoughts into your pre-shot routine. But aside from that, then I'm pretty much ready to go. I don't really like standing over the ball and messing around too much. So I have a 7-iron here. Let's pretend I need to hit a full sort of 7-iron to the direction where I'm aiming. I would have gone through my process. I'd have lined it up. I'd pick something with inside my peripheral vision. I then pop the club behind the back of the golf ball, have a couple of little waggles. Again, because I don't like the feeling of staying still, I will now look at the target just for a bit of like sort of calibration, if you like, just to make sure that it feels okay. And generally speaking, things will feel okay. And I will just sort of turn back and just try and commit to a nice rotational movement through the golf ball. And this process would be the same all the time. So I'd stand behind the golf ball, I would line it up, I would then place the club like so. I take my width of stance, I have a look, I'm waggling as I'm moving around, have another little look just to make sure I feel okay, and then back, and then through as I try and rotate through the golf ball. And generally speaking, that was the thing that I found was just a real game changer. What we're trying to balance with students is the development side of it. So I want to make sure that they're playing good golf in the here and now, and I want to make sure that they play even better golf in the future. So you need to be careful in terms of what you're doing. Now, if you are somebody who is having golf lessons and you're trying to take all of those swing thoughts and all of those feelings into a round of golf, you are pretty much setting yourself up for disaster. It just isn't going to work in the short term. However, the dilemma is, if you want to improve technically and you're never spending any time working on some of that stuff, then you're going to really struggle. So with my students, that's why I try and lay stuff out for them. I try and sort of say, look, when we're playing golf, you want to keep things really simple, maybe have one swing thought, one little feeling, but try to be brisk over the golf ball. Try to focus on the things that I've been doing. Get consistency and ease with ball position, get consistency and ease with alignment, keep it brisk, keep it fast. It's made a massive difference to Steve as well as my other students, and it'll make a massive difference for you. However, like I say to Steve, when you are practicing, you've also therefore got to spend a little bit more time working on his technique, because it will take his game to a new level moving forward. But I'd love to hear from you. The next time you play golf, I'd love to hear if you feel that you take too long over the golf shots and whether you'd benefit from just speeding it up, and then also whether you feel the same way. I really like when I set up like so. I look open. I love it when my students are doing that. They look open, they look like they're able to sort of swing this way. See this nice setup position from here. What I really dislike are when people aren't necessarily sort of going through this process. They're walking into the shot. They'll do 2 practice swings here, 1, 2, and then they'll walk into the shot, have a look at the target, you know, get in the ball position here, maybe have a look, and then they're over the golf ball, and then they even might go here because that's something that they're working on, and then they go over the golf ball, they might have one last look, and then eventually sort of, you know, pull the trigger. You can't do that and play good golf. Think about any other side on sport. Brisk, fast, over the ball, trust it, work on it. Let me know. I'll see you soon.